And we're going to be joined now by three panelists who have really taken that to heart and who are redesigning access and opportunity via the initiatives and the businesses that they're running. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Théo Scubla, co-founder and CEO of Each One, Oshioka, CEO of Heralbony Europe, and Gratien Regnault, Head of Development of LAZARE. Thanks to each of you for being with us this morning, and really excited to talk to you and to have you also introduce yourselves to the audience. So to each of you, in about a brief minute, tell me, what are each of you building and what barrier are you trying to remove? And you can also think about, what did you see that society didn't see? And well, maybe Théo, we'll start with you.
Sure. Hello, everybody. So my name is Théo, and at Each One we're building a bridge between companies and refugees and newcomers, historically. And we saw, in fact, at the beginning that there were a barrier that was not, in fact, a lack of talent, but a lack of access to talent. Today, millions of people are excluded from the labor market because not because they can't contribute, but because the system doesn't recognize their potential. And in fact, we saw that refugees, newcomers, and their inclusion was being treated as only a CSR or social subject, while in reality it's, in fact, a massive economic opportunity. And we see that there is a big disconnect between people and companies. Disconnect was obvious, but very few actors were structuring a response that was scalable and that was able to progressively guide companies to access the talent, recruit them, train them based on their recruitment needs so that it works in the end.
Yeah, so you found a way which is very powerful because you've been around for already 10.5 years to bring refugees and newcomers into the workplace. We'll talk a little bit more about that and the mechanics. But let's move to Marie and Heralbony. Please tell us a little bit about the barrier that you're removing.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marie from Heralbony. Heralbony is a for-profit creative agency that solely works with artists with disability, like autism, trisomy 21, and we connect these artists with enterprises for marketing purposes. And also we have our own brand, which is, actually I'm going to stand. This is the dress of our brand from Artists with Disability. I love this dress. Thank you, thank you.
I love it too.
I'm so happy, thank you. The purpose of this work is to change the first access to mass market through these enterprises or a brand and change how people see disability and with the power of art. And I think there's two things that we see differently. One is the business model, because previously there's so many artists out there, like amazing talents, but it was always treated as art, and it's okay, but it's difficult to scale or repeatedly generate revenue. So we changed the business model to make it as a design, and we can scale it because of that. And the other thing is that we see it as pure talent. We don't choose them because it's from person with disability. We choose them because it's exceptional art. So I think those are the two important things.
Marie, and can you just explain to make sure that the audience really understands? So just give the example of your dress.
Okay, so for example, we curate the art. So this is one painting that we found from one of the facilities where the artists with disability work on art. And we find the art and choose it for a brand, and we put it into dresses. We have our own designers that can create dress from one painting, and then the artist will gain earning. The more that we sell it, the artist will have more revenue from it.
Fantastic. Gratien, what barrier are you removing?
Yeah, so I'm Gratien, Head of Development in LAZARE. And what is it about? It's about shared accommodation between former homeless people and young professionals. with the idea that more than a shelter, human relationships above all are needed for those homeless people to get back on their feet. And it's precisely what they find in LAZARE homes. They find the homeless people rebuild their lives, and young professionals grow. And all this thanks to the power of friendship. And so you have to imagine a LAZARE home. It's, you will have several shared flats, single-sex shared flats, with in each around 8 people living in it. And you'll also have a flat for the support family, who's there to coordinate, to animate all the life of the house. And everything's done to enable those encounters, and those encounters that will bring people together, and then that will help them each one to grow and to do a step forward.
And how many apartments do you have?
So we started in France, so we have quite a few in France. We have more than 16 houses in France, but we now spread out worldwide. So we are in Spain, Switzerland, Belgium, Mexico, and looking to open in London and Canada. So start having quite a big track record.
It's fantastic. And LAZARE in French, and as I learned, Lazarus in Anglophone. Théo, going to you, so let's talk a little bit about the systems change that we need. How are you working with companies to help them change the systems around labor and employment?
So concretely, we provide a holistic training to refugees before they are getting recruited. And this is based on a simple realization that today recruitment is mostly about selecting the perfect candidate when we are in a company. And the reality is that the perfect candidate doesn't exist. And we really, quickly saw that companies needed to shift from a filtering, position, filtering mindset to a building mindset. And that's why we saw the potential of professional training, and of all those people, in fact, we just needed to train a little bit so that they can work very efficiently. And we provided companies with a simple process of accessing talent, training the talents, and then recruiting them, so that it works very easily.
And I assume that you're working on kinds of jobs that are under tension in the labor market, so really companies have an incentive to come to you to help find
exactly.
candidates?
It can be for people that are working in childcare, housing, hospitality, also a lot of sales person, for example, working at Pierre Hermé. And what is impressive is that companies, they want to recruit right now immediately the perfect candidate, as I was saying, but when they shift their mindset to building mindset, they understand that they can stop being reactive, they can anticipate their future recruitment needs, their recurring recruitment needs, and build a talent pool that is already ready to work because they train them first, and they integrate. On a very regular basis. For example, their shops, if it comes to Pierre Hermé, for example.
Fantastic. And Marie, you also have experience helping companies, rethink how they're thinking about creative talent, and what do you see happening inside companies?
Right. I think one big important change is how do you think about inclusivity? I think Théo was saying the same thing, but previously, when you're choosing an art from artists with disability, it's mostly like CSR, or like you think how you can support them or help them. But I think that the change of how you see it has to be happened, and we see it, the true value in the art. And there, it transformed from like just helping them to being business partners or being very inclusive, like treating them as one member of your business. So I think that's really important, and that's something we try to do when we work with the businesses and also the artists.
And Gratien, how about you? So it's less on the, let's say, on the business side, but in terms of the mindset in society when it comes to inclusion, what do we have to change?
Yeah, I think we don't necessarily see our own clumsiness when it comes to connecting with others, and we don't often, and sometimes we are infantilizing, or even we have a condescending way in approaching people. And perhaps I could just take my own experience. Few years ago, I felt for a long time, and like you perhaps, powerless when meeting people living in the street. And so I decided to face this helplessness. I decided to conduct patrols in the streets. And one day I was faced to Regina, and Regina was sitting, and I was standing above her, and I proposed her some biscuits. And Regina stared at me, and she told me, "Do you really think this is what I need to rebuild myself?" And this is when I realized that I was completely wrong in the way I was approaching her. And she left me completely puzzled on the pavement with my biscuits. And I discovered LAZARE a few years later. And LAZARE, in fact, helped this change of how the society is looking at homeless people. Because at LAZARE, it's not only, LAZARE doesn't do anything instead of people. It really offers them to live together as equal, and giving them the opportunity, even some homeless people, to bring something to the flatmates with whom they are living to. And I think this is one of the most important things, really change the approach we have. And perhaps by another thing society could be keeping on improving in change mindset is about what, how do we see how do we see fragility? Fragility is often seen as a weakness, but in fact, fragility, by acknowledging our own fragility, it's starting to acknowledge that the one sitting face to me has probably something to bring to me, whatever lifestyle he has, whatever past experience, how many years he lived in the street, he has probably something to bring to me. And this is when the relationship starts and begin on a good basis.
Thank you. It's a wonderful story about how you had to overcome sort of conditioning in your own minds, and the people who participate in LAZARE also are overcoming maybe ideas that they have in their minds that aren't true. Théo, what's the most challenging human barrier that you've had to overcome?
I think there is, at the beginning, one question we should ask and we never ask, based on the simple realization. People are here, the recruitment needs are here, we share a common future, but we never ask the question, how do we get the best of this common future? That is, the root of everything. And when we ask that question, we start understanding that the biggest barrier is not structural, it's psychological, and there is bias, unconscious bias, and we can then start to understand what is happening there. And many people generally want to be inclusive, in fact, when we ask the right questions. It's just that when they are collaborators in the company, they sometimes fear the risk of it because they overestimate the risk of failure of an integration if they recruit, for example, a refugee. And the second thing is that they underestimate the return on investment that it represents when you recruit someone that is not a candidate you would have considered otherwise. And so, on the one hand, we navigated the risk by creating concrete, low-risk experiences that are progressive, guided, so that companies can
see how it's working.
Can see how it's working, and instead of just meeting a candidate that is apparently ready to work, and just say no because the risk perceived when it comes to the job interview is too high, having a progressive training process that help companies and the candidates know each other, so that they are getting really
more
easily
recruited.
Exactly, easily recruited. And the second thing, as I was saying, is the recruitment. I mean the return on investment based on the recruitments. Companies do not understand enough how much it helps them operationally. They see the idea of inclusivity sometimes as not linked to the performance. You were talking about it. And as soon as I see first that people remain employed longer when they are refugees, for example, than when they are people that they recruit to their normal or usual channels, but they have better results. As I see that, for example, I was talking about Pierre Armé or Monoprix, who are, big clients working with us. They all agree on one fact, that people, yes, remain longer, but that they are motivated, and that motivation is contagious. And when motivation is contagious, the whole team is getting motivated, and everybody remains longer employed and in a better mood, and that's, leads to more performance.
That's fantastic.
It's easy, and we saw it 5,000 times because we accompanied 5,000 people to a long-term employment, and that has to be repeated.
Yeah. That's a fantastic and positive story. We'll talk a little bit more about the business benefits, but maybe just before that, I'm curious, for you, Marie, at Heralbony, what are the human barriers that you've had to overcome? Because bringing artists that have disabilities into a commercial way of working is challenging, I imagine.
Thank you very much. I think it's very straightforward thing is to how you see beyond the labels. And to do that, we rely on two things. One is creativity. I have to modify what I said before, but we are not even saying that they're equal. We're trying to create something that we can admire or respect as a brand. We price our product relatively in a higher price range because we believe that if this art has true value, people should want to buy it, and even the price is relatively high, if it's a true value, people should pay that, and people should be really eager to buy it. And what we do to make it happen is to put so much emphasis on creativity. And when you come to our website, you'll see that it's circular actually. We put so much effort and creating this creativity and beauty and how the art is so astonishing. So that's one thing. And the other thing is just human relationship. We always try to put together the corporate clients and the artists. So we bring these corporate clients from marketing sector or business people into the studios and create opportunities that they meet each other face to face. And I believe it's only from that moment you truly understand, oh, this is just same human being. You're just the same. And we believe that we can create that. And we do that a lot. And I think it's really working.
Thank you. Definitely common theme around this idea of human connection and everything that we share. But we also have to be practical. We're talking about systems change that is also about money. Gratien, can you tell us a little bit about your economic model? This sounds very nice, but how do you actually bring these apartments to life?
Yes, we are indeed very proud in LAZARE to have a proper economic model. So, of course, the growth of our charity is dependent of funding to be able to open new houses, we need to cover the cost of renovation works, and this is thanks to the financial support of individuals, of businesses, of foundations. But what's very interesting is that we've decided to do a model targeting self-financing. So it means as soon as a house is open, everybody in the house pays the rent. And it includes homeless people, because for us it's giving them back their dignity to propose them to pay a proper rent. Everybody pays the rent. Those rents covers the operating costs of the house. And the objective is that each houses generate a surplus. And this surplus will be feeding and covering part of the LAZARE overheads. And so, just for an example, in France, in 2025, thanks to this economic model, we were 60% self-finance. So this is really something we are proud of, but perhaps talking about performance, I would say what's even more important for us is that even if we do nothing instead of, LAZARE performs. And we have a second-to-none track record. We have, for example, 64% of our former homeless people who now have a personal or professional project. And we have 85% of them who are coming out of our houses and for long-term housing. So this is really something we are very proud of, is that it's quite simple, but it performs.
Fantastic. Marie, how about you? Heralbony has a strong and long track record in Japan, which means that there is economic and business value. What do companies get out of working with Heralbony?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, in Japan we have been operating this for 8 years, and it's really profitable already. I think, so even it started as like CSR, we shift to marketing division, try to get the marketing budget from the companies. And there has to be reasons for the companies to pay us, right? It's not just charity. And there's 3 things, I think. One is pure brand differentiations. There's so many talks about like social impact. Companies are already thinking about it, but the art done by artists with disability and that significance is not yet well preserved. So by using the art, it really differentiates the brand. Second is the connection with the customers, because each artist has very different stories and very profound stories, of course, because they overcome things. And we always try to collect these stories and the episodes, true stories of human beings, and put it together with the art. So we ask the companies to not just paste the art to packages and designs, but always understand the stories and put that into this brand communication. And that really connects the customers with the companies. So I think it's very like a logistic, very business way of thinking. And the third one is internal change of the company. So as I mentioned, we try to connect all the employees, the decision makers with the artists. So from that moment, it truly starts to change internally, like how the employees really think about inclusion. And I think companies really value it because it's a very true experience that we can bring into the companies.
The idea of being able to engage your own employees as a company in something that is meaningful and worthwhile. I mean, we know it's so important for employees to feel that their company has values and a purpose. Théo, you mentioned in terms of the business value that each one brings, so lower turnover, there's more employee engagement, the teams are happier, so this is obviously working. I'd like to understand how you have scaled and grown over the last 10.5 years. That's amazing. What can you tell your fellow entrepreneurs? What are the secrets of success to this growth over 10 years?
First, I can tell it's difficult. Because it's long to help companies change mindset. What enabled us to grow is that that first proving it works and that it drives results, as you said, and having that proof is the beginning of everything. But then you have to build a repeatable model, and to do it largely. And at the beginning, what held us back was the inertia of existing systems in large organizations, because we targeted large organizations before, and we work with a bit more than 100 large organizations, and we saw that they were not designed to change quickly, especially when it comes to a subject like inclusion, a subject they don't see as a priority. So we had to put it at the center of their HR strategy and to understand the direct link between this subject and return on investment. And so a big part of our work was to design a solution that was not just a recruitment or training solution, but that was a solution that was helping organizations to transform how they think. And so 50% is made today of training the people that are getting employed after, but 50% of the solution is all about processes, all about raising awareness at the different levels of the company. And I will say that there is a second barrier we had to remove at the sector level. You know, we are working in the sector of professional training. It's a sector that is intermediated. That means we are not only exchanging with the companies. We are exchanging with the companies, but also all the time with the French state, the state operators like France Travail, etc. And so that's a system that is complex. We need to invest a lot in this system. And we need all the time to also do a lot of lobbying to guarantee the stability of the system, because the instability of the system creates stop and go, and sometimes slows down our ability to grow and embark and onboard new companies in the solution. So it's always a job that has to be on two sides, on the B2B side, accompanying large organizations at all the levels, but also on the B2Gov side, and that side is very often overlooked, and investing a lot also in that relationship helped us.
So that's fantastic advice in terms of what you need from the government and the relationships that you have. We are going to have to close, so I would like to hear from each of you the one thing that you want the audience to take away in terms of an action or a shift in your mind. We'll start with you, Marie, as you are relatively new to Paris and here to develop Heralbony. So what's one thing that you want the audience to know?
Can I say 1.5 thing? First one, we have a booth back there. So we are really, really looking forward to work with companies, organizations, individuals in France, especially Paris. So please stop by if you're interested and resonates what we are doing. We really want to make sure we can be in the context of French culture. So that's one thing. And 0.5, we are doing exhibition from April 21st at Maison du Culture du Japon, which is very close to Eiffel Tower. So it's until June. So please stop by. We have amazing artwork there. So, and I really think it's a great opportunity to meet the artists. So.
Thank you. Gratien, one shift in mindset or one action that you would want the audience to take?
You can take, of course, that to keep on growing, we need fundings, we need people generosity, but we also need civic engagement. We need to keep on being visible, keep on communicating on a very joyful way on how it's worth living with homeless people, meeting them, and because, as you understand, our social model is based on those young professionals coming to live in our homes. And perhaps if you can just go away with a third thing, it's just perhaps today when going back home, taking the tube in front of the shop you will be buying food. If you see homeless people, perhaps try not to be as I was a few years ago, but not giving something, but really try to install a proper relationship with the person you'll be meeting, just perhaps by looking at him like a human being, perhaps sharing few words, but putting yourself at the same level as him and sharing with him perhaps a very little thing, but which will be very worth for him.
Human to human, human to human. Théo, you get the last, we're out of time, but 30 seconds for your one mindset shift.
I will say to all the employers in the room one simple thing. Stop asking where can we find the talent and start asking who are we currently overlooking. I think it's the start of an answer already.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to the panelists. Thank you very much.